everybody, it's Alma with the Cat's Pajamas, and today I'm going to show you how to make this hyacinth, this carnation, this daffodil, and this bachelor's button using our CutUps dies. Oh yeah, and we're going to be making this card as well. So let's get started, shall we? We're going to be making this daffodil first. So to make this daffodil, we're going to be using two of our CutUps dies, the Sunflower Rosette and the Easy Rosette die. From our Easy Rosettes die, we're going to be using the smallest scallop circle. You'll notice that the smallest scallop circle has these embossed lines that actually show up embossed on your paper when you cut it out. And from the Sunflower Rosette, we're going to be using the actual sunflower. And just like the scallop circle from the Easy Rosette, the Sunflower Rosette also has the embossed lines that show up when you cut it out. Now I'm going to take a pair of scissors and just snip, about 1/4 inch in between each of the petals. And that's just going to loosen up the petals a little bit when I do some of the flower sculpting. There you go. Now I'm going to take the small scallop circle, and this time I'm going to just snip halfway through to the center of the circle, but I'm going to do it every other indentation. There you go, and that loosens it up. So now we're going to go ahead and sculpt the flower. This is just a little bit of foam that I got out of a computer box. It was just packing material. We're going to use a pair of tweezers, a bone folder. This is called a petal roller, and you'll see it's got this little ball tip at the end, and it's got a little slit at the other end, and that's used for rolling flowers or rolling paper. But for me, I like the tweezers. We're also going to be using these pearl embellishments and a little bit of glue. And to stick the embellishment when we're through, I have a sheet of glue dots. I like these heavy-duty glue dots. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the small scalloped circle that we've cut slits into and the petal roller, and just take the ball tip and start rolling from the center out, and you'll see that it's cupping. See, it's a nice cup shape. And because we cut those slits in the paper, they're actually forming petals that kind of overlap, just like a flower. Now to cover the little hole in the center, I'm going to place a little pearl embellishment. On my original card, you'll see I placed 3. In this case, I'm just going to place 1. There we go. Cute. Now I'm going to take the Sunflower Rosette and do the same thing. And you notice because it's so big, it has a harder time of cupping. We just want the center part cupped. Just like that. We don't want it too cupped. Then we're going to take the bone folder and just start bending the petals down. I think I want it a little bit rounder, so I'm going to take the bone folder and keep rounding the petals. I think I want it a little bit more rounded, so I'll just go over it again. I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take the little cup, dip it in the glue, and place it on the base, and we're done. Looks pretty cute. Now I'm going to show you how to make our next flower. This is the carnation. See how cute that is? And it's made using our pom-pom flower die. And here's what the die looks like. It just cuts a band and the slits, and then you do the rest. You can make a whole bunch of different flowers using this one die. So I've run a nice piece of heavy-duty cardstock through the die cut machine using the pom-pom flower die. Now I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to soften up the center portion of my paper where the slits are. This area is going to be where we actually fold over the paper, and rather than crease it or have the paper crack, I want the paper to actually bend and form loops. If you use this particular die with fabric or felt, you can bypass this step. Now we're going to take some double-sided tape and run it along one side of the long side of the paper. We're going to take the other side and press it into the tape. And I'm careful not to crease it, but just form the loops. And you'll see, because we softened up the paper, really nice loops form. And there's no cracking. I'm going to burnish it really well and add more tape. Removing the tape is the hardest part of this project. Now I'm just going to take a pair of tweezers and start rolling. And you'll see I'm careful not to crease or bend the loops. I want to try and keep the loops as loopy as possible. And you'll see I'm not rolling it really tight. It's actually kind of loose. Rolling it right into the adhesive. And at the end, I'm going to give it a good squish. And here's what it looks like. Little fluffing, little zhuzhing. And there we have a carnation. So pretty and very easy. And because of the base, this carnation is going to sit nice and high up. Now, if you don't want the carnation to be as big as this carnation, here I show it smaller, or you don't want it to be as high, I'm going to show you how to do that as well. The first few steps are the same. Run the paper through the die cut machine, take a bone folder, soften up the center loops, and in this case, I'm going to run the tape slightly higher up. See, I'm leaving this base. I'm going to cut this off a little bit later. I want to make sure that it's really nice and burnished, and just bend the paper over. Careful not to fold those loops. We want to try to avoid any creasing of those loops. A little bit more tape in the same area that I put the original tape. Now I'm just going to trim off the excess. Doing the flower this way will make sure that the base of the flower isn't as high. Now I want to do a small flower, so I'm just going to snip it in half and start rolling, just the way I did the big flower. I can control how big the flower is just by how much of the die cut I use. If I want a small flower, I just use a portion of the die cut. If I want a bigger flower, I just keep adding more die cuts until I get the size of the flower I want. So there you have it. I have a carnation that's half the size of the original and one that's not as tall. Stick it on a heavy-duty glue dot and call it a day. Now check out our flower sculpting video part 2, and I'll show you how to make the hyacinth, the bachelor button, and we'll put everything together and make a pretty card. Thanks for joining me. So you can see why I suggested using a nice heavy-duty cardstock. This particular cardstock is one of my favorite. It's from Bo Bunny. It's the double dot cardstock. It's got patterns on both sides. I just love it. It actually almost feels like leather when you work it.